Thank you for joining us for our first episode of Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way. Proactive is the Way is a podcast brought to you by two sisters who dove into the health and wellness industry. One planned and the other by fate. We have joined forces to bring to you authentic conversations about our personal experiences as it relates to managing our health, working within the industry, and taking our combined knowledge to share with you some golden nuggets that you can take with you to live the best version of you. Over the next year, we will host 2 episodes a month. Each month, we will focus on a topic that is designed to increase an awareness of tools and resources to enhance an aspect of your mind, body, and spirit. Our topic this month will be designing your life. Your fate is within your hands. What have you done or are doing to successfully craft a life that makes you feel fulfilled and creates an environment where you live abundantly in peace, with love, and oh, so much joy. All right. Hey, Tiff. So, design your life. Tell me, what does that statement mean to you?
That's a loaded statement, and, it could be complex. It could be as complex as you desire it to be, or it could be as simple as you desire it to be. So designing your life really revolves around what it is you actually want and tapping into those details.
Okay. Yeah. So tapping into those details, can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
So, right now we're living in an era where they're using the word woke a lot. And a lot of us are, or have been, or maybe even now, still struggling with what does woke actually mean, right? And designing your life is being woke. It's an awakening. It is an opportunity to be who it is that your spirit, and not the world, but really about the spirit, who the spirit is telling you to be, and not from a religious aspect either. So not from the world and not from religion, but it's something that is internal when you are designing your life. Mm-hmm. So to expand on that just a little bit more is, everybody has a life that, they believe, and we all have different definitions of success. We have different definitions of design. We play semantics with what it is that we believe about this life. So designing your life is ultimately whatever you want it to be, whatever, and I want to stay away from the word goals, but designing your life is whatever systems and processes you have in place to be whoever it is you desire to be.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. The systems and processes that you have in place. Mm-hmm. From my perspective, I feel like it's something where you're always experimenting with those systems. They're the processes, in order to design your life. For me, when I think about the whole notion, I want to identify things that resonate with me. Right. And when I want to design my life, I want to experiment, right, through different trials to find ways to make that a reality. I tend to think that I don't believe that we just have one thing that will define us over the course of our life, and that is our ultimate destiny.
I agree.
I don't believe in that. But what I do believe in is that there are an infinite number of ourselves that can play out. And it's up to us to find the life of our lives that will ultimately satisfy our basic needs and lead us to our greatest desires. So, can I give you an example?
Give me an example, because I like that.
Yeah. So I'm a mom, and right now it's my greatest focus, right? And currently, based on my character, how I like to live my life, I prefer a life that has an essence of stillness, calm, and it's peaceful. However, I am an entrepreneur as well. I have so many ideas, I have dreams, aspirations, but how I should move and how I want to move conflict with those realities, conflict with the realities of life. So I'm constantly assessing and I'm generating pathways that will permit me to align without losing sight of the fact that at this present time, I'm a mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Now, fast forward 10 years, in another 10 years, my environment will be completely different. My kids are going to be older. I'm going to have more free time. And at that time, I will assess, right, reassess, and generate a new pathway that will allow me to advance faster or differently in the life that I built, or try something completely different. And I like what you said about awakening, because at that time I might have a reawakening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there will be something new that will inspire me to forge a new path.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll
And
close.
we do this actually daily, right? When you go to bed and you wake up, every single day is a new day. It's just that simple. It's just another opportunity. And where you are in your life right now, like I like all of what you said, it does not define, your future.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to have multiple definitions or multiple designs or multiple creations of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in that, our goal ultimately, I feel, is we are trying to create the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And in doing so, it's so important that and I like how we're going to be talking about it a little bit later on in another episode, but with atomic habits, right? How the author James Clear states, in order for us to become the best version of ourselves, in order for us to design our lives, it does require us to continually assess, continually to edit our beliefs, upgrade, and expand on our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, from my perspective, in order to design my life, the ultimate goal is to find a way, to become the best version of myself. And so I will continuously reevaluate my life, challenge my thoughts and beliefs, and when needed, create a new version of myself that will be the best version of me at that moment in time.
Yeah, and I think where the challenge lies for most people is in what you said, because they're not looking for ways. We become complacent, or we become lazy, or things become we develop bad habits that cause this retardation, this moment of just hesitancy. It causes hesitancy for us, and we're unable to branch out, and we lose faith, and we lose belief in those possibilities and in our potential. So we lose our potential, not believing in creating and being the best version of ourselves, I should say. But
Absolutely. So talk to me, if you could. Can you share with our audience a personal story that is aligned with designing your life? Like, what are some of the things that you've done that allowed you to design where you are today?
I have done a lot. And I woke up this morning smiling, like proud, like, because, I'm really hard on myself. And I think to myself, like, gosh, I really should be here, or I really should be there, but I'm here. And I look back on it, and I was just smiling, like walking through my house, like, you know what, like, I'm gonna be proud about now. So all of the things that I actually have experienced in my lifetime have actually molded, and actually I'm having transforming experiences at all times right now. What brought me into the current pathway that I'm on was education. So I was gung ho about my education when I was younger. And that is the foundation. That is the floor. That is the carpet. That is the rug that I stand on. And I truly believe that obtaining, acquiring, whatever you want to call it, being educated. And I was intuitive enough or astute enough to, seek out advisement from different mentors to know, I don't have all the answers. So what I did, because initially, I wanted to, initially be a lawyer. Then I was like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I did programs, minority medical education program at Case Western. I met my best friend in college at a HBCU, and just really didn't know what direction I wanted to go. I tapped into a mentor. He told me, your bedside manner really, fits a nurse. And it wasn't a degrading comment. Like, people were like, oh, he's trying to push you to be, something lower. No, it wasn't that. Sometimes people can identify things in you that you can't, because you're just too hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I nursing is what has gotten me to where I am today, and being an advanced practitioner, and networking with other professionals. There's a saying, and I heard my father say it first, our father say it first, that whatever you want to be like, you surround yourself with. It's something so simple, something so basic, something so Southern and country, like, that was simple, like whatever you want to be.
It was true, right?
But it was true. It has so much truth. And so that's essentially what I did, and what I do, and what I continuously do is I surround myself with what it is I desire to be. And so that's why I have attained what I think is still just minimal to moderate success. But some people look at it like, oh, you're doing so well. And yeah, I look back on it, but I worked hard, like I worked hard. Like, I didn't have, I just put it this way. I worked hard. So it and hard work, saying that saying is so cliche, like to say, it took hard work. And everybody's like, well, what is hard? What was the hard work like? But the hard work did include, like, I'm a single mom, staying up nights. I remember falling asleep in nursing 220. I was down at Sinclair, trying to finish up my associate's degree in nursing, because I did stair step in nursing, right? I got associate's degree, bachelor's, then my master's, where most people are going 4-year and then they go straight into their master's. So it's a total of 6 years. I took almost 8 years but I got the education. But I remember sacrificing.
No matter how slow you went,
I didn't stop. Right. I had, I had a focus. I don't want to, just stop me if I say goals. I had a focus because I really like the author of Atomic Habits, what he has to say about goals versus systems and processes. But anyway, I remember, sacrificing, time with my child because I could see the bigger picture. I had a vision that, I don't want to struggle and I don't want her to struggle,
Right.
So I
You
knew.
want to set a precedence and a legacy for the future, right?
Yes, and I don't think we think of that as a people in general. So, but we'll go with that's another topic for another day.
Yeah,
But yeah, I remember falling asleep and waking up, and I had a huge exam the next day, and I remember just falling asleep on the floor inside my nursing book on when I had minimal furniture over there in those apartments in Moraine, around the corner from you and your husband's house. And I remember waking up like, why am I doing this? But I look back today and I say, this is why you did it. I live where I want to live. I travel where I want to travel. I purchase what I want to purchase.
It's a beautiful thing.
And most of the time I'm purchasing books.
Well, good.
To read.
Absolutely.
Stay educated.
I know we say, Tiffany, you're the career student.
I am a career. And it's not a lie.
Really being a student, a career.
I am a career student, but I'm proud of that fact. I'm proud of I'm proud of being geeked out.
I tell folks this all the time. I said, you never stop learning.
You don't.
You will forever, even in death, you are going to learn because you're about to learn about transitioning on, right? So you will never stop learning. So it's a beautiful thing. Get used to it, embrace it, and try and find your way within it.
Right.
So let me talk a little bit about my journey, if you will.
Yeah.
I came out of school. I had a Bachelor of Science in Finance, and girl, I didn't know what I was about to do, honestly, because I just went to school because my father told me I had to, right? He said, you have to go to school. You have to get a reputable degree. And I wanted to go to school for fashion and design. I had selected my school. It was in Italy. I knew that I was going overseas, but he said, if you want me to pay for it, if
how it goes.
You want me to pay for it, you need to get you a reputable degry. So I ended up going into finance. And so when I graduated, somehow I ended up on Wall Street. I call her an angel because after 33 interviews, and I was sitting in a cafe, and I remember picking up a newspaper and it said quantum staffing. And I was like, it said, we're interviewing now. And I went in and she was like, she looked over my resume and she was like, you did recruiting? And I was like, yeah, for my school, I was a student ambassador. And she said, have you ever thought about human resources? And I was like, you mean being on the opposite end of what I'm experiencing? Like interviewing folks and determining whether or not they can have a job? Have I ever thought about doing that? She's like, yeah. I was like, no. She said, I think you would be good at it. I love your personality, etc. I went in on a Tuesday to see her. On Thursday, I was working in human resources and I worked in HR for 20 years. Fast forward in 2017, I got severed from my job. And Tiffany, so we're going to talk about you. We talked about your experience designing your life. I'm about to highlight the redesign of my life. And I will tell you, I was so happy. Girl, I was so happy that occurred. I literally hugged the SHIT out of my boss with thanks. I was like, girl, I love you, Sonia. Sonia and Leisha, if you feel bad, don't. You did me a favor.
Like it's sometimes people have to cut that cord for you because you won't.
Because I wouldn't cut it. You're right. Because, I have 3 kids at that time. I was single, recently divorced from my husband. And I was like, I can't cut this cord. I got to keep coming. And I hated it. And I was so happy. So happy. And
that energy when you hate it.
Sucked the life out of me. Girl, I was gray. I wasn't black. I was like blay. I was so great. Like my whole energy was gone. Right. And this incident, it happened right before my 40th birthday. And for someone, me, I don't celebrate my birthday. I never celebrate my birthday. You celebrate my birthday for me. Thank you for the many lovely surprises that were not so much of a surprise, but I loved it. But this year I was like, I'm celebrating my birthday. That job took so much out of me. I said, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to recover from this experience. And I took that severance money and I hightailed my derriere out of the US and found myself in Switzerland. And my best friend with benefits, wouldn't let me do it alone. So he joined me. And after 2 weeks in utter bliss, I came back home. I was so rejuvenated and I started my consulting business, Sonacy Consulting. And then that transformed into Power 77 Unleashed and now Kinky Knots Cafe. And right now I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm home, and now I'm crafting myself and I'm tweaking, not twerking. I'm tweaking.
But you know what? That is so, and I just want to stop you right there and just like congratulate you and just say what an amazing job you are doing with that. And actually, I don't think I've ever really sat down with you and heard or asked you your story. So I'm glad we're getting the opportunity to do that now. But having that transformation or having that cut of the cord so you could redesign your life so that you could have an appreciation, you can actually truly be happy. Because being on a job that you're not happy at and just going in there, you're actually not giving 100%, and then everybody is suffering, really. Like, so, and then that's selfish, right? At the end of the day, that's like self-serving, and that's not who people, well, I would hope not the majority of people want to or desire to be selfish. I feel like it's more of a learned behavior, but
or a forced behavior.
Right?
Because I have 3 kids, right? And so I had to do what I had to do. I had to suck it up. I had to suck it up. I had to show up. And I hated it so much, but but it is a bit self-serving in that sense. Absolutely.
So I applaud, your efforts to, branch out and take a risk and, be a businesswoman, to have no fear and take these risks, because it's not only time consuming, but it consumes your finances, and you have to, and you're taking a risk if it doesn't go the way, it's kind of more of a controlled environment when you're working for somebody, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you look back, you built their dream.
True. I'm building. I'm over here suffering.
Right. And you still
looking black and gray. Just, the life sucked out of me, but you living like
right. Perfect, you building other people's dreams when you're working for them. And I think too that when you're designing your life, you should keep those things in mind. When you're designing your life, even though your parents say, hey, you need to go to school, or if I'm paying for it, you're going to school. Okay, if that's the case, then, and I'm designing my life, I'm going to get a working degree. I'm not going to get just any degree.
Yes.
At least if things don't work out, I'm going to put myself in a position where I'll have a job. So, and not knocking that you had to go through 33 interviews, because that's a lot of interviews to have to go to.
My feet were talking.
I bet they were. They probably was
New
dirty.
York City.
They probably was dirty too. They was probably dirty too in New York.
Now I kept some good shoes on, but because I had to walk to.
No, remember how black my feet were when I used to come there?
Woo!
But yeah, no. But yeah, no. You know, just keeping those things in mind, keeping that perspective that if you are going to school, you know, what is your focus? Because hopefully it is, you know, and we didn't know that because our parents weren't necessarily educated on, or that they didn't have that knowledge to give to us. All anyone knew at that time was make sure your child is educated, but educated in what? For what?
For what?
There is this tunnel vision and this single-mindedness of how we were supposed to be. And now we realize now in our 40s that that's not what it was.
The world can be your oyster, and it's all up to you to reflect on it, to find what awakens you, you know, fulfills you, and do that, and don't follow someone else's dream. You know, don't follow, because and I'm going to quote Lauren here because I always say this. You know, you heard Lauren's song where she talked about, you know, that if God planned for there to be two of us, there's no need for one of us. And I like that. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, we all bring to the table so many differences. We come from so many different walks of life. And if we can get better at identifying who we are, what we bring to the table, and bring it unashamed, I feel like we would be a much more progressive society. You know,
much more progressive people,
and then internally we will have a better sense of peace
if we were able to, right, if to embrace diversity, like you said. Because people who have just think about it, the people who have the life of design or the life of envy or the life of success have embraced diversity in some sense. So I think that's a valid point.
Even Donald Trump. He went backwards, but he was forward then backwards. But anyhow, so let's stop there and let me ask you, what are some methods that you have used to make the life you designed a reality? If you can give me like the top 3 things, we'll focus on the top 3 things that you used that just helped you to get to where you are today.
Number 1 is education, reading.
That's your foundation, right?
That's my foundation, right? 2 is networking. And the third one I would probably say is gosh.
You only have 2. I was just trying to give you a stopping point because I know you can go on.
and on. Gosh, I don't know. I just think the physical part of it, I actually do the work. So
okay, and getting the work done. So putting to practice what you acquired from a theoretical perspective, and
so that's a good word to use, in practice.
Yes.
So education, reading, practicing, and networking.
I like that you said networking. Networking was one of mine too.
You know? Oh, good.
It was. It's key. You know, I feel like you have to have some sort of network in order to progress forward. And if we're always sitting back, and, not taking the time to get out, learn from others, ask folks the question, even if they feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's better if it's more smart for you to be less ignorant by asking the question, right? And so I said networking is definitely key. And I think about when I got severed. After I got severed, I applied to 65 jobs saying I'm going to stay in HR. This is, I've developed myself over up 10 years, and this is where I was going to stay. So, I applied for 65 jobs. Can we make a cricket sound? Can we make a cricket sound?
I mean, crickets everywhere, because
I
I
mean,
wish I would. And you know what? I say that all the time. I'm so glad and I'm in the profession that I'm in, because I could literally not have a job today and be hired like in the next 5 minutes.
and I say to you all the time, what do I say to you all the time? Girl,
I went into the wrong.
I went into the wrong profession. I said, if I could stand blood, I would be in your world right now, but I can't stand blood. But, and that's so true. But to go back to, the whole idea of networking, I want to say, even though I didn't have anyone, not one person, not a phone call, not a text, not an email, even, how like when you apply for a job, you get a decline notice. Mm-hmm. I didn't even get those.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I was like, what the hell?
I know. So I would have been discouraged.
I must be blackballed. I don't know. I said, so, but at that time, and it was the blessing out of the sky. I had told you I came back from Switzerland, and I was like, I'm starting this business. I got my website done, ready. And, everything was like done, ready to go. And, I wasn't getting any opportunities. No one was chirping in my ear. Thank God Tish had her business, so I was able to help a little bit there. But then my best friend, he was like, I'm starting a new endeavor, and I want you to come and help me open it. So I went to Senegal, and I helped to open up a restaurant in Timbuktu. It was out in the cut. But it was a great experience. We opened, and, we hired staff, and I had the opportunity to play the manager, to run my own restaurant. And he allowed me to experiment and focus on developing my entrepreneurial skill set that I wasn't getting here in the US. And I say I'm forever indebted to him for his grace and mercy, for allowing me the opportunity to recover from not having a job, from struggling. But now that I've recovered, and going back to that whole idea of networking, I think it's really important that I get out more, and that I network with others within the industry that I'm in.
You know what? And speaking of which, for the networking, whatever happened with the African American Festival? Did you ever go?
I did go.
Oh,
I participated. Yeah.
Oh.
Facebook for old people. So you got to be, that's what my daughter said. Facebook is for old people.
Well, what's the new thing for them?
Huh?
Well, what are they on? What social networking site are they on if it's not Facebook?
They're on Snapchat, all those different
Instagram.
ones. What's the other one?
TikTok.
Say that again? TikTok. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I'm not there yet. They're like, you need to get on TikTok. But anyway, so I'm going to get out more. I'm going to network more. But right now, I'm just looking for the right environment where I know that I'm going to see exponential growth, The other two, so we talked about 3 methods. I said, give me 3 methods that you use to make the life you designed a reality. The other 2 were, and this was really the first one that propelled into the other 2, was getting my mind right. And so, I'm in yoga, and I started meditating, and, from a mental perspective and honing in on the intangibles, I felt like it was very important to reflect more, to, in that reflection, allow myself the time and provide myself a level of grace, you know, so that I can reflect, I can search, I can do research, because I knew that this direction that I was about to take was going to be hard. And I wanted to make sure that I got my mind right about showing myself grace, being kind to myself as I commenced this journey. So when the roadblocks occurred and I got pushed, and I'm still to this day, I still keep getting pushed back, I will be able to find within myself the ability to continue moving forward. And then I'm piggybacking on you. Great minds think alike, education. You know, diving into, so going into this direction, I wasn't in the health and wellness industry, right? I was in human resources, business, etc. But diving into developing and expounding my knowledge within a new field was critical, right? So that when I spoke to my clients, engaged with different people, etc., it was, I was looked at as a reputable resource to help them with in their endeavors, whether it be in improving their health, meditation, their yoga practice, etc. Okay.
It's important to remember too that education is intangible. So your comeback gonna be greater than your setbacks and your pushbacks because you have an intangible component of the life you're designing, right? That no one could ever take or, you know, ever. Because, and I don't know what the statistics are, and I really don't like to speak from a non-evidence based. So I'll just say it's more observational based. But people, and I'll just speak for our people, are not still to this day attaining education or embracing or crave education like they should, I think. And that's just a personal opinion. I don't think it's
I think though I have seen improvements, because if you go on Facebook, if you go on Instagram, there are so many people understanding the power of education. If I open up my Facebook and see another mastermind session going on, I mean, it really tells me that folks are really getting this. You know, folks are really understanding that not only that they themselves get educated, but that we share the knowledge.
That we share
the knowledge. Like
that should have been one of the commandments. Thou shalt not covet knowledge.
Like, who does that? I was like, I have
people, you said it before, people that don't think there is enough. That's the type of people that do that. That's the reason why it is the way it is. That's why people covet knowledge, because even my own family member, no names need to be thrown out, I asked a question too, didn't want to help me.
Chirping crickets.
Tell me how. I'm like, now how does that work?
Right.
So help me design my life.
Right.
So like I admire what you are doing. How can I do it too? But that's could be, you know, competitive, just like a competitive mindset, competitive nature as well too.
But is it progressive?
It's not.
I'm going to say it is not.
It is not.
And it holds not only me back. You think you're doing a disservice to me. I can always go and get a book or find another resource, but it's holding you from a mental perspective and how you think about life back. And that in which you espouse will become. So the more that you continue to do it, there will be a day when you need information. And just believe karma is quick. If you notice, it's coming faster.
Faster.
Woo, it's coming faster. I love when folks do me wrong, because now I get to witness the comeback. I get to witness you getting bopped on your head because it's coming faster. But so let me ask you, since we're on this about, people hindering progress, not being progressive, etc., what are some roadblocks that prevented you from making your dreams, or making it difficult for you to reach your new reality?
I think that still, and I know that everybody's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. Now, being a Black woman and being educated and 6 feet tall and thinner than most Black women, sorry. And I'm just being honest here. I face where I could have an opportunity, but people feel intimidated by me. They're intimidated by my presence because the truth of the matter is they don't want to see me shine. But I can't take ownership in that. So I'm one of these people who, I'm not taking ownership in how you feel about me. You have your right to feel the way you want to feel about me. I have the right not to receive it, not to accept it, and to keep moving to the next opportunity, because that is actually what I got educated for and what my profession allows me to do. So even if there is you could set up every possible roadblock, the fact remains, I'm still in demand. The fact remains, out of all persons on a job, the Black woman is going to be your resource. The Black woman is one, if not the most talented individual in that space. And that is evidence-based. That is not coming from an opinion, although some may think so. But I guarantee you, if they would study it, they would see that their most driven, hardworking, talented employee is the Black woman, because nothing's ever been given to us.
Yeah, we've
had to design our way around roadblocks, challenges, adversity. So
that is so true. I think another part that I wanted to reflect on is the fact that, from my perspective, I used to not try to get into office politics, about because I was so focused. I didn't have time for all of that. Folks used to say this to me all the time. I wasn't the water cooler girl. I wasn't. When I did my water cooling was when my team had a one-on-one and we had the opportunity to, connect with each other. And that's when I did my water cooling, because, before meetings and even in my one-on-one with my manager, we used to sit back and just, chill and be able to, I got to let my hair loose a little bit, etc. But I feel that, we don't have time to play a lot of games. And when we
don't have time for the politics. We don't, which is why I am very similar. I didn't play office politics either. And you know what? You know how I got around that in this profession? I quit punching the clock. I'm a contractor. Your rules don't apply to me now. So I don't have to play those little silly games. That's what I started telling myself. Oh, I would just contract myself out.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna go off of my articles of incorporation. We're going off of We Care Enterprises.
Right. I like that.
We came in with that. Yeah. So that was my strategy to get out of playing those silly games. I did that when I worked for a very large organization here. And when I was going back to school, just taking some courses, the manager or the supervisor that was directly over me became intimidated, just out the blue, started scheduling me 40 pelvic exams and 50 PAPs, and I'm not leaving till almost 7 p.m. at night. And I'm like, well, dang, how am I even gonna have a life? It was really to tire me out, was to burn me out. But right, so I would leave. But check this out. I did it so many times, I started being able to do it in my sleep. So it was now not challenging. You gave it to me that many times.
You became desensitized by the
Yes.
book, right?
Yes, right. So then, but you are so intimidated by my presence, by my capabilities, by my competencies, that you thought you was setting roadblocks for me. But now I done perfected something and probably could teach the rest of your staff how to do it correctly. Because while they record inaccurate pHs and saying people have trichomonas when they got BV, it's, and I'm just being silly, but it was just the intimidation. And she really, that did kind of negatively impact me, and it reinforced this belief I had from when I was younger that they are like that they are racist. So it was reinforcing an image of racism for me. And I've been trying, I moved out here to get away from that, honestly, to get away from the cold, but to get away from that thinking, because I felt like it really was, it was not serving any purpose for me.
Right. Because it wasn't serving your desire to grow, to develop, to be diverse in your thinking. And that was the same for me. You and I, once again, we're on the same wavelength. It's so funny because we don't really interact a lot. Right. But roadblocks was other people's insecurities,
Yeah, about me being present. And I had a contract over here in South Central. Now this is South Central LA, okay? This is just historical. This is evidence-based. This is the lowest of the low community, okay? I knew because I didn't meet her during my interview. I was interviewed by another Caucasian female. She hired me on the spot. The Caucasian female that was over the clinic, when she met me, I already knew she gonna try to cancel my contract. I knew it in my heart. I knew it right away. I knew it so much so I sent an email to my a recruiter, and I told him, and he was like, "Well, how do you know?" Not 3 days later, he said, "You were exactly right. They want to terminate your contract." And I said, "What reason did she give?" Because see, now I'm hype. I'm like, but I don't care because I have my own business, so me being able to contract myself out, I don't really care what you do.
It allows you to be.
Yeah, it allows me to be in control of
your
of the situation. So she thought I was going to work the remainder of the week. I said, "No, we can sever it now." So all them 60 patients you got left over, you see them. Because you're not about to use me for your gain, and at the same time terminate my contract without reason. But I knew when I came in, because she seemed intimidated, because I was sitting down when she came in, and so I stood up, just out of respect. She 5'1", I'm 6 feet. She had to look up. I don't think she liked that. And I'm just saying, and that actually has more meanings than I care to explain, but it was very, but I do remember when I was in nursing school, one of my instructors, Deanna Collins, I will never forget what she said to me. She said, "When you're talking to people, why don't you try sitting down?" Because she said it was overwhelming and intimidating. Now, these are Caucasian females. So that's the kind of thing I've had to combat. So in designing my life, my challenges, my adversity, the adversity I've had to deal with to design my life have been impacted by things I know there is no way other people have, experienced.
And it's always something that has been out of your control, always. It's not something that you did, but just because of who you are,
Black is out of my control.
It's not your control. I'm like,
It's out of my control.
Right? Yeah. Like, why do I have to wear 8 faces? I can't wear one. You know, like that was one of the things I hated about working in corporate America. I was like, why am I wearing all these dang on faces?
Girl, why I gotta censor myself? Why do I have to censor myself to death? Like checking and double checking. Like when I on the contract that I'm on now, I started wearing my white jacket. Then I said, a white jacket is not me. My patients do not resonate with me in that white jacket. Mm-hmm. They resonate with me in my scrubs. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing this too long. 15 years is a long time. I know my patients do not resonate with me in that white jacket. That's why it's called white coat syndrome. Mm. That's why when people go to the doctor and their blood pressure is 199 over 115, and they like, well, just diagnose them with white coat. I'm taking the white coat off then. They don't resonate. Right. With no dang on white coat. But for me, and I'm just saying that as an example, but for me, I know what works. And I know how I've had like even maintained success. And you mentioned way back in this conversation, and I just wanted to plug how nutrition, because you were on a thought, and I think I interrupted you, but how nutrition allows you to have a clearer perspective, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. allows you to design your life. Meditation does too, but nutrition does too. Because if you're not feeding your body the appropriate nutrients, mm-hmm. you can't expect, because the brain needs glucose, the brain needs sugar, right? But it needs the appropriate sugar. We're not talking about Skittles and Starburst. I mean, what are those? Starburst. We talking about carrots and Brussels sprouts, the carbs that come, the sugars and carbs that come from that. But no, but just to plug nutrition and how nutrition and health have played in a way for me to design my life, because how we look, and this is kind of superficial in our world, if you think about it, like people are such ages, right? Mm-hmm. But think about, like, I'm 43, mm-hmm. and you may want to edit that. But people, are like, wow, she is so young to be a nurse practitioner. That sells. Mm-hmm. That gets my patients to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. When I told my patient, and I'm not kidding you, when I told my patient that she come in, my stomach hurt, my back, and I said, you just need to lose the weight. Mm-hmm. I said, your labs are perfectly normal. Lose the weight, I can guarantee. She's like, well, you're awfully young. I said, me and you the same age. Mm-hmm. So she got up and walked out of that exam room and did not come back to her follow-up appointment. It was that much of a reality for her. Like, hey, invest time in yourself, do your health and wellness, do your nutrition, do your meditation, do the things, mm-hmm. And I just wanted to make that point to say how that plays a part in designing your life too. Because you can't expect what we, or some of the things that we're talking about, you can't have that expectation if also you're not just from a holistically well. Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I want to, because you said something, because we were talking about some of the roadblocks and other people's insecurities, their fears. Mm-hmm. I wanted to bring up that whole crab effect. They see you and they see you getting out, rising, etc., and then keep pulling you back. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you did to overcome those roadblocks? And so you said, I like how you brought in nutrition, because it was a great segue into the question about how you maintained your health. Mm-hmm. It really is so important that we have a healthy state of mind.
right, and body in order to overcome the roadblocks that people attempt to set for you, right? So what are some things that you did outside of that helped you to overcome the roadblocks?
Exercise. I had a very challenging, stressful experience when I moved with my partner at that time out here to California. We thought we wanted to be together, but that ended up not being a thing. And so I ended up here, during that time. It was an extremely stressful time. And I tapped into exercising. Now, in his book, Atomic Habits, and the author's name is
James Clear.
He mentions how, you're doing something and you don't recognize the results. So that's why you stop doing it. Yeah. But okay, so I was going through a tough time with my relationship, and decided to go to the gym every day at 4 a.m. For months, I was doing that. So I was still, maintaining my figure, and, and I'm not one anyway. Like, I don't have this body image. I don't have a body image problem. I don't even really care about bodies. I just like the way exercising made me feel. Like, I felt smarter than everyone. I felt more energetic when I was around them. I was a quick thinker. Clarity. I had clarity.
I'm telling you, Tiffany, exercise has been my number one savior.
Yeah. On that, to this day, on the stair stepper, I could be on the treadmill. My brain will be so clear. Ideas will flow out of nowhere.
I was like, where are all these ideas? And
I know. And then you don't have no pencil. Yeah, you don't got no.
You better. I do. You better keep, because I work out at home.
You work out at home. What I look like on a treadmill and Planet Fitness talking about
posting notes all over the place. Like, wait.
I was on the. Listen to this. I was on the, because our father, Daddy always got all these ideas for me. So whenever we're talking, and I'm like super like into what he talked about, because it's just so simple. Like, it doesn't require, like, a lot of people I talk to, sometimes they're too deep. I can be too deep probably sometimes too.
You do,
but
and I was like, what? What you say? Okay.
Like, I don't even feel like processing all of that. But anyway,
I give it her later.
But anyway, yeah, like, so I can be so when I'm on the treadmill, like, and I started thinking, like, I had this, like, these just amazing thoughts, ideas that just flow through. And let me just go back to that point. It provides a lot of clarity. So exercising is one way. Now, the nutrition part, right? So I have a different idea about nutrition. I really wish, and I admire everything that you do nutritional wise, but that calls for discipline. And I don't have discipline over food, because I had told but you have amazing discipline. And I think you should post some of your older pictures of what you transform from. Okay. But anyway, so I feel like I don't have the discipline, and I shouldn't tell myself this, because that's also what he says in Atomic Habits, is you shouldn't tell yourself certain stuff, because if you think you eat good nutrition, right? Yeah, pretty much. It's a very simple concept, but I don't have the discipline, because I had already told myself the reason also why I work out is to eat the way I want to eat.
You sound like mommy.
Except she looked like what she eat, even though she work out.
Yes. I still have time over time that that mindset, and I want to challenge you to change that mindset.
Yeah, but I'm a scientist, right?
Right. Yes.
I'm a scientist baseline.
Right. Yeah.
So I now know the key is protein. Mm-hmm. But that's another topic for another day.
Another day.
Another day.
All right. So thanks for going over, how you overcame your roadblocks. For me, I just wanted to share one component, and I think you said it earlier. The idea of showing up, okay, mm-hmm. being present.
Right.
And not only showing up and being present, but day in and day out, being authentically me and unashamed, highlighting who I am without having to wear 100 different faces. Mm-hmm. You are going to know me. Mm-hmm. I wear everything right here out in the open. So you don't have to guess, is she playing? No, this is who I am. If I like you, I like you. If I don't, I'm going to treat you with a long handled spoon, as my dad tells us. I'm going to respect you, but my spoon going to be super long. You're going to be all the way over there and I'm going to be poking you because you're not about to come into my space and disturb it. Right. So it's so important, but that we continue to show up when people are pushing you down, people are trying to push you in a box. Oh, you too old. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, we in a new era. Mm-hmm. Rise up and keep showing up. And the more that you show up, the more people will see that you do belong. There is a purpose for you. But do I care about that? No, because in order for me to have an understanding of you loving me, I have to love myself first.
I like that.
Right. In order for me to accept and be able to do the things that I want to do, I have to show you that it is within me mm-hmm. before you will accept me. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is something that is so important when we talk about overcoming those roadblocks. How do we overcome them? Show up and always try to be authentically yourself. So folks don't have to guess. Right? Folks don't have to guess. And if they don't get it, that's on them. Keep showing up, keep moving forward. No matter how slow you go, as Confucius says, no matter how slow you go, keep going. Don't stop. Right? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's transition because we're going to wrap up here soon. I just wanted to make sure that in the end, we provided folks some tools, some resources. Can you talk to me about some books, resources that you've leveraged in your journey that has helped you or provided you the expertise, the knowledge, the ability to design your life? What are some resources that you've tapped into that have helped?
Let me just say this because I don't remember all of the titles of the books, but I do remember the authors. So I like the thought leaders, especially Black thought leaders, like Michael Eric Dyson. I really like him. Okay. Because he's very powerful, but he's also very contemporary. And the things that he talks about in his readings or in his books are relevant, mm-hmm. and you can make them apply. Like even and I do subscribe to self-help books. Mm-hmm. Just recently, I started with the audiobooks, as I explained to you, mm-hmm. Listening more, reading taps more into the frontal lobe, mm-hmm. And reading out loud makes this area stronger. But Cornel West, okay. Another Black thought leader. Am I saying that right? when I say Black thought leader, I always like for the adjective to be in the correct place. um, who else? Goodness. You know, the Joel Osteen, and although that's from he's a prosperity preacher, okay, but what he has to say is contemporary and it's relevant. And those, and it's like with anyone that from reading, I find, and everybody that I just mentioned was male, but I also did read Michelle Obama's book. Hers was very contemporary, very relevant, an excellent narrative of her life. And what I pulled from that was a lot of this is luck.
Being at the right place at the right time.
But she mentioned hard work. I like to look at how fictional stories play into our designing our lives. We don't think about that either. Not just the non-fictional literatures.
I like that you said that, because there are a number of stories that are crafted and designed to help teach you morals and values. Think about it. Like right now, my children, they're in school, and I just love the fact of how they use, you know, the rabbit and the tortoise, or the hare and the hare and the tortoise, but all these different stories, these fables that do help to guide you. And there should be value placed on that, because those stories, while they are stories, they teach you something. And that's what we are here. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to help others learn and grow. And storytelling is one of the most impactful forms of media that folks resonate with,
right,
effectively, and can remember, right? So that when something happens, they'll be like, oh, this is just like, you know, a Little Red Riding Hood, you know, or just little things like that. You know, they said don't go in the woods. No, let me stop. I'm exaggerating a little bit, or trying to be funny a little bit, but you know, they do have so much value. And even though they're fictional, we should not discard the worth of the fable.
The lesson.
The lesson.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That it came to teach.
Came to teach. You know, so I'll close it up real quick with some resources that I say that I, you know, used or tapped into. I used to, of course, read a lot prior to 2017. And then after 2017, everything, you know, I read, and I'll share this with you because I don't think I've ever shared this with you. It really made my spirit unsettle. I had like everything I read, I was getting angry. So I stopped reading completely, shut it down. And it was actually only just a few months ago where my spirit was like, okay, try again. You know, and so now I believe it's because I'm in a better mindset. I'm in a better place. I'm more wise, that I'm able to benefit versus feeling attacked. I don't know, Tiffany, it was weird. I felt attacked in my readings. And so prior...
That's not weird.
I don't know. It was weird to me because I never experienced it before.
It's a trigger. I mean, that would be just like people being triggered.
Yeah, but certain words were triggering me, and I was like getting upset. But now it's changed, you know. But I wanted to go back. So prior, I used to read a lot of religious books. You know, I don't know if you recall Priscilla Schreier. She was the one who had the The War Room, and she made it in the closet. I don't know if you ever, but I used to read her books. Fervent was one of my favorite ones. I've read from front to back the KJV version of the Bible, the Quran. I've read, and I love these because there's stories, right? We talked about the stories and the message that those stories brought and the value that they've placed on my life. So the Quran as well, Renovation of the Heart. That is a very good book by Dallas Willard. The Power of the Whisper. So we talked about working out, right? And as you're working out, you get all these messages that start flooding because your body has now opened up. I'm going to say must be endorphins, has opened up, and you just have this sense of clarity that overcomes you, that allows those messages to come in. So I did read about, the whisper, and Bill Hybels was more about God. I've read Islam for Dummies. I've read, but I've read a lot. I used to read a lot, and now I have moved more into the secular space, and books like, have you ever heard of Mark Manson?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And that is now gracing my shelves.
See, you know what?
What's that?
He probably could do that because he's a white male. I would have to read the book.
You have to read the book.
Okay.
I mean, once you get past the number of times that he says F-U-C-K, a lot of what he says is very powerful, is very helpful in you being able to get past, like you said, I'm not going to allow your fears, your insecurities to weigh on me so that I can't progress, I can't move forward, right? He talks a lot about that. We've got the crab effect going on, and how do we get better at not giving a fuck? And so I've moved more into that secular space and reading books that really challenge my thinking. Books that I've felt that are so secular that I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't read about that, but have been very enlightening. And, you've been hearing about this whole banned books list, etc. We're banning books. And so I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be the dumbest stuff. Who thinks of this stuff? Where does this come from?
Where do they find the time?
Where do they find the time? Seriously. I really have to understand. But anyways, so I've been moving into that space to challenge my beliefs, to challenge my thought process, so that I don't miss out. Because I feel like when we shut ourselves off, and we don't encourage, and I'm going to go, I don't know why, but Reverend Shelby comes into my head. All I hear is, if you wave it in your mind and doubt it in your thoughts. I used to be like, why I can't doubt? Why I can't waver? Why I can't challenge what you've told me I need to believe in.
Right.
And I think it's dangerous.
That you don't
do that, and that you
don't ask the question why.
That you don't ask, right? And that we conform to the point where we are now of the Borg society. You ever watch Star Trek? Where we don't have a thought process. You're going to, that person over there who heard from that person over there, who heard from that person over there, who didn't even know who he heard from, of that person over there is going to dictate my steps. Be careful. Anyway, so
yeah, the world we are gravitating towards.
It really is, honestly, and we really need to take a step back and have a hard look at ourselves. All right. So thanks so much, Tiffany. Tiffany, this has been absolutely amazing. I love that we're doing this.
I do too.
I'm getting to know some stuff about you that I just haven't had the time to sit down and really get to learn about you. And so I'm really excited about this new venture. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, where would we be without music? Tiffany, myself, we grew up in a family full of music parties. Remember in the basement with daddy and all of his tracks and 8 tracks, and what else did he have? The vinyl records, just bang.
Right.
So we grew up, we are lovers of music and thought it would be cool to, really reflect on a song at the end of every show that just resonated with us. And it helped us to prepare our mind, body, and spirit for our discussions and the weeks ahead. So this episode, Tiffany is going to close us out with Gil and share with us the song that you chose. And why did you choose it?
So it just resonated with me with designing your life, and how it's revolutionary to think about designing your life and transforming your life. It's transformative. And Gil Scott-Heron, his declarations in his music were before the time, like the revolution will not be televised. So, and you could further explain, because I really like what you had to say about that.
Well, the only thing I was going to share was I didn't like it. When you first chose it, I was like, here we go. Tiffany and her militant. She got to choose this song, but it's funny, like art, when you first see it, you're like, oh, that's a piece of crap. But if you go and you see it over and over, this is kind of my experience. I listened to the song the first time and I was like, here she go. And then I was like, no, let me listen to it again. So I listened to it again and I listened to it again. And I was like, yeah, okay. Oh, okay, I got it. So it is a revolution. What I like too is that we're doing it on radio. So it kind of fit, right? We're doing a little bit of it on radio where it's not going to be televised. We're going to have an element of it televised though, but it's not televised in the way that we think of television. And, that we are getting past, our differences. We are moving forward past all of the crazy in order to bring ourselves into a new era. No matter what age you are, young all the way up to old, we are all still growing. We are all still living. We are all still designing. And we also have the capabilities to design our lives. And so it's definitely a song. It now speaks to my heart, and I like it. I like it a lot. So thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first episode. Please join us in 2 weeks as we continue our conversations on designing your life. We will talk about some resources that you can use to begin the process of designing or redesigning your life. We will introduce you to 2 books, Choose to Change, It's Your Life by Jackie Penn, and Design Your Life with Bill Burnett and David Evans. We do look forward to you joining us. We do recommend as well that you purchase these wonderful resources and dive into them in preparation for our discussions. We have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of each book. To access this replay or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.